Welcome to Kaks Bar and Podcast, Canada's first podcast bar. What that means is you can come here for food, you can come here for drinks, you can also come here and record a podcast. Come on down, we're located in downtown Calgary, Alberta in the Beltline area. See you soon.
Right down the crack.
And we're rolling Laughs Kaks Comedy Night number 13, Kaylon?
Yep.
13. All right, sweet. We had a full house tonight. A big group. Like they had to leave during Jesse's set, but I don't think it had anything to do with their comedy. I literally think we ran over time, to be quite honest, because like I do advertise at 8 to 9:30, 9:45, and that entire table was definitely fucking 19, 20-year-olds.
You know what I think it was?
It was bedtime.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It was a bedtime. It's a school night.
Yeah.
On top of that, they were all there for the
Josh.
new guy, right? Yeah.
Josh,
so like,
they hot guy Josh.
They were just all like, "Oh,
Josh is funny though.
He's done his shit. We're gonna leave." Yeah, he's super funny.
Yeah, that sucks when you're just like, oh, there's like 50 people, and then like a whole table just vanishes when one guy goes up 10 minutes in. You're like, not cool.
I think it might have also been when Yanni was threatening to whip out his dick. That might have had something to do with it.
That tends to walk a table pretty
I really
quick.
loved when he blew milk out of his nose. That was a subtle touch to the show. I feel.
Yeah, well, he's like, this is what sex looks like from the inside. I'm like, most men can't perform like that.
Yeah.
So this is not accurate at
Yeah.
all, right? Like, fuck
I was
sakes.
like, that's a pretty niche joke. Like, you got to come prepared for that bad boy.
Also, you got to be expecting the bar to have milk.
Oh,
That's the
yeah,
other
he literally
thing,
tells
you know?
us, like,
Yeah.
better order more milk. You know?
Oh
like
God.
that.
I was
Like, oh,
actually
God.
grabbing my beer from the bar. I was like, "What the fuck is the shot
Yeah, I
of
was
milk
wondering
for?"
why he was
I was
having
like,
empty
"What's
glass
going
The
on
weirdest
here?"
part was his glass of
Right.
fucking like cummed in milk was like like in front of my beer for the rest of the
Yeah.
So
Oh.
I like grabbed it like three bits later. I was
Yeah,
like,
it was,
what the fuck is this?
If it was still there, I was going to drink it during my set. So
Yeah.
You know what? It does not give you superpowers. I'll tell
Oh
you
man,
this.
just a fucking rogue boogie.
Oh, fuck, man.
Those dry Calgary boogies.
Oh yeah.
They're crispy.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, like a theme I actually want to bring up as I was observing the comedy tonight, because I was like front row, and look, I've watched a lot of comics over the Laughs Kaks like sets, so I've seen a lot of these sets over and over. But I've started to realize now, I'm like, dude, it's not the joke premise or the delivery, it's energy feel. Like I think that's why I noticed, because I was like, dude, like I noticed myself. I'm like, am I laughing more or not? I was really psychoanalyzing myself midway, because I was like, this is a funny bit. Like this is like ridiculous situations being explained. But I was like, but why am I not chuckling as much this time versus the other time I saw? And someone might say, well, Shawn, it's because you heard the joke over and over. I'm like, that's not it. Because I remember I remember hearing it. It was like I laughed so hard the first time. Second time it dipped. Then I was like, oh, it's because I heard the joke. Then third time I laughed again.
Yeah.
And then each week I was like, now I just realized like it's an energy thing. It's like, who makes it feel like I'm hearing it for the first time again? And I don't know. And like, you guys are the comics, not me. So I think that's only something that can be trained only if you just do it 1,000 times, to the point where even if you had a shitty day, you can tell that same joke and project the energy as if it was that moment with your friends around a kitchen countertop at 5 a.m. Not with Coke.
No, I think that's true, but I think that a part of it too, it's like, it's not just the repetition. It's like having it. Part of it's the repetition, because you get to a point where you're confident with the bit or the story, and so then you get to a point where you're like, I know exactly how I need to say this, but it's tricky because it can change room to room.
Exactly. So how do you do the same? Okay, so you, like the dais, explain. How do you stay on point when you know the joke is funny, but the room is too drunk? Do you just do you try to adapt, or you just go with it and be like, this will sink in later, or you have like it doesn't even matter now, they're all blacked out?
I've seen it work both ways, because I've seen comics that just do exactly how they're going to do it, and it fucking crushes, and I've seen people adapt how they're doing it, and it crushes. So I think that it kind of depends on the person and how comfortable you are being in front of an
like a mad
uncomfortable
scientist,
situation.
there's just so many variables.
There's so many variables.
Well, yeah, I didn't know there was Coke.
Hey,
No,
let's
there's
guy get out of here.
Well, and
Oh,
like with a lot
that
of
was
those
pretty
ones,
funny, by the way, when you riffed off the
Oh, fuck.
because that wasn't part of your fucking bit. There's no way you planned that. Like, someone's gonna have a dick joke. with coke going off the dick, and then I'm gonna counter here.
Oh my god, I just couldn't believe it because I was just like, I made one fucking riff off the top about like small towns, and then of course he's from Australia where there's no one, so like he's from a really small town, and then I was like, fuck, as soon as I made the coke joke, I was like, of course this motherfucker does coke. He's Australian.
By the way, I don't want to name his name, but like when so and so got up, I wasn't worried because he's a great dude.
Yeah.
Like he's just having a good time. Like there'd be different people if they approached the comedian like that. I was like,
I guess we should give context. He got up out of his seat and walked up like literally into my face.
Face to
He's
face.
Canadian. He's so polite after. He's like, oh, so, by the way, I'm so sorry for
that. He's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. And I'm
I wasn't worried about him.
He was like, fuck, I'm sorry about that, mate.
I was worried if so and so came up, the so and so, and I'd be like, okay, Brad, like, you know, like I'm like, yeah, we got to bounce this guy, you know, like, but that's why I didn't step up because I was like, I know it's like,
I will say
it's all out of good fun. Yeah.
So
I will say this though too. It's been such a long time since I've been punched in the face that I was just like, of course it would be when I get new glasses.
Yeah.
You know, like I was like, of course it's gonna be tonight.
Oh my god,
fresh glasses.
Oh my glasses. You can't see without them.
I can't remember my jokes without my glasses.
I can't remember my jokes without my glasses.
I was at the back and he kind of stepped up and I was like, oh my god, am I going to see a fight here? That would be so terrible because none of us could do anything about it.
I know.
Yeah. No, we got your back. Anyway, it's I make sure no comics are ever gonna fucking get hurt. That's why I took preemptive measures with the other incident. So it's
I also think
I was just trying to entertain like, well, let's see what so and so does because he's like so polite. It's fucking ridiculous.
He was so polite, but I was also not worried. My fiance Shawn was right there. He would have stepped up and like got between us. That was the other thing that I fucking riffed off of when he was like. I was like, yeah, my fiance, and then he's like, what's his name? And I was just like, Shawn, he's right there.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
You're like, way to ruin the ending.
Imagine getting punched out by a guy with a mustache and dreads. Like, sorry, this was my last set here ever.
But Jesse, I love how you stayed on point, and you know, like the crowd was definitely wasted. Your premises again. Like I was like sitting there chuckling. You know?
There's like probably 2 or 3 times where someone would just like yell something out, and it would just like trigger a total like veer off, and I'm like, oh my god, I haven't forgot that story in like 10 years. I got to tell that, see if there's something in there. So it was actually really good for just like trying to mine material that might have something to go, because there was probably about 4 or 5 minutes I didn't do because I just went off on a tangent to tell stories. I was like, that's pretty fucking funny when I did that.
Was that.
Yeah.
He literally was like, oh, I wait, like there was another 10 minutes of me riffing these guys. You know? Yeah. No, but like that just shows the more seasoned pro, right? Like, because like earlier in the set, like certain comics, people weren't laughing. You can feel the nervous energy, and I think that's what was like I'm gonna say bringing down the room, but just people were like, we can feel when you're nervous.
Yeah.
So it's like most people come in to watch comedy. I'm only saying this just my observance now and my own experience. It's like most people's lives kind of suck. So when they show up, they want to they need someone else's energy.
That release.
Yeah.
But then that's also a lot of pressure. You guys, not pressure, but like a lot of burden because you guys have to you guys are kind of like energy humans. You have to pick up the energy of a lethargic group of humans that hate their life.
Well, and especially if they're like 5 beers deep.
We're
and they're
energy
just
vampires.
hateful.
No, different. No, the vampire sucks in it. You guys are You guys have to be energy producers or something.
Well, especially
which is probably more draining for you guys.
Like if someone doesn't do well after that, that's like a real test of your skills. Is like can you pick them back up from someone bombing just in front of you?
Dude, I think going off this point, I don't think, again, I'm not the comedian, but I just love comedy. I love laughing. I've been watching so much. I think that's what separates the super pro. It's not the joke premises, because everyone knows people, when you get to that point where you're on stage telling the jokes, you know what's funny.
Yeah.
It's about, can you draw energy? You guys are really just energy guys. That's the next phase of the art. It's not the jokes. It's jokes for sure. And then it's like you guys are, it's actually demanding of you. I've come to realize you guys have to fucking, when everyone else is low energy, you have to find a way to fucking bring that energy back up. And that's actually asking a lot, because you guys are human beings too. So you guys have shit going on too. So it's almost like the great comics is because their shit's together. They're not worried about money. They're not worried about their personal life. They just focus on the craft and come in loose. And so then again, that seems like, well, most people's lives are so hectic. who can fucking come in loose like that all the time?
But I was just going to say, but that's what like makes comedy so great is when you have that 5, 7, 10-minute set that's just like you're dialed in, firing. Yeah, exactly. Firing on all cylinders, and you know from beginning to end, there was no stuttering, there was no eyes, there was no nothing. There was none of that shit. It was just a hot 5, it was a hot 10, and you killed, and you heard the laughter, and there's nothing better than like going back to the comics, and everyone's like, dude, fucking killer set. The daps, the pounds are going on, and like, because like as a comic up there, like there are moments where like you're tuned in, and like sometimes like you're not hearing all of the laughs that are actually happening, and then it's not till like after the fact where like everyone is like, dude, like that was awesome, and that was a fun set, and everyone's having a good time.
I want to add something to that. I remember specifically there was Doug Stanhope did his one bit. It's on one of his specials, and I remember laughing really hard. Yeah. But right when he finished his bit, he was like, all right, good night, everyone. Yeah. And then it shows the behind the scene footage. It must be on his footage, but he's just like he just walks off stage all tired and shit. I remember that like killed it for me slightly because at the end of the day, it's weird. It's like watching a movie. You know the movie's fake, it's fiction, but you want that illusion that is real. That's what draws you in. Like that's why you love a movie, because you imagine yourself part of the like. So it's almost like the extra step might be to like maintain that, like, hey, I'm having a fucking great time, everyone, like from start to finish. Mm-hmm. But again, like I've come to realize now, like I picked up another observant thing. It's like that's asking a lot of comedians, because like you need them to have like a high, like, not to get all Dr. Phil and shit.
No,
but you need a high EQ of your emotional intelligence.
You become like a caricature of like yourself, because like, yeah, we're comics, and yeah, we like delve into areas that we're gonna put out there that, you know, sometimes are uncomfortable or they're relatable, and like that's what's the beauty about comedy. But so many times you'll see somebody on stage and they'll totally be dialed into their bit, and then when they get off, they're like, hey man, like it was a good set, like thanks for having me. And it's like, because that is what's helping you cope on stage. Like, and there's a lot of comics,
so many
like
layers of comedy now.
Yeah, it is.
But it's not just being funny. I
think there's another level past that though.
Absolutely.
Because like there is that dialed in, like you're just in your bits, you don't notice the laughter. But then the next level that you get to is where you notice the laughter, you notice the energy in the room, and you can acknowledge every single person and where their energy's at. Yeah. And that's where it really becomes like tricky, because you have to be like, oh, I can feel that most, like 90% of this room is into it, except for that person.
Yeah.
And then you really fucking tune in on that person.
How do I get them?
How do I get that person
into it?
And so then you have to adjust your energy to that person. And then when that person's into it, you might have lost somebody that you had before.
Dude, you guys have a hard job, because like all I know is this: like I sat front row for a reason by myself, because I was like, I want to absorb the jokes, because I already knew I'm going to hear the same sets. But I was like really analyzing. I'm like, I told myself, like, Shawn, relax. I literally was like, what? I have no friends. So there's a long-winded way of saying I have no friends. No, but the truth, Kaylon, I actually I literally tucked my hat down. I was like, okay, I want to hear this again. Let's see if I laugh the same way, right? Because like I already know the delivery's coming. But it's just going off feel today. Like I literally went in almost like a fucking like Rain Man. Like what am I gonna feel today? You know. But like that was just another theory I had, because I'm like sitting there thinking around, like, why does this guy make it? Why does this guy not? And I've come to realize now, I'm like, okay, the bare essence of comedy for someone who has a good time is like, remember your friend saying that fucked up thing just off the cuff. Yeah. Like you want to recreate that moment, but I'm like, but how do you do that if it wasn't like authentic in that moment? And then that's where the masters come in. Like they dial that in, and it like I swear, I think that's like someone should write that down. It's like that is the next wave is energy. It's
that's how I got into comedy, was shooting the shit with my friends and sitting there and finally being like, okay, there's something there that I am like smart enough to be able to like write it in a sense to be able to be like, all right, I'll turn it into a situation where it's like, okay, I got maybe 3-4 minutes of like what I think is material. Like that's what my first 5 minutes was. It was just like, okay, this is what I think is funny. And I went out there and 3 of the 5 minutes actually turned out to be good. And I was like, that's something, because it's like it could have been worse. It could have been like first time trying to do jokes ever, and it's like not one joke landed, and that could have been the beginning and end of that. It'd just be like, all right, well, that was fun, short lived, but it was
okay.
fun.
So I have a question for you then. Like, was your first time on stage? Like, what made you like? What was the thing that made you go, I want to do comedy? Was it because you were hanging out with your friends and you made them laugh, or was it because like you had an idea that you thought would work in that situation?
So I've always been like a super fan of comedy. Like growing up, I was able to watch a lot of like mature shit at an early age. So I was able to watch a lot of Adam Sandler, Chris Farley, like a lot of classic SNL early absorbed at a young age. So when I was older, and more recently when I moved into a city that I knew like comedy was there, like when I first moved here, I would check out Comedy Monday Night at Broken City, and I was like, oh, there's a comedy scene here.
Yeah.
And I always fancied myself a funny guy, but more so a lot of my friends were like, dude, like you're easily like the funniest guy, and like easy funny. It's not like you're trying, right? So I was like, all right, gives a little bit of confidence, but I was already a artsy guy, you know, like kind of had that. And then when I got older, sales kind of came into that. So I felt like I had the makings to be able to go on stage and tell material that I would be able to think of. And it wasn't until I moved into a bigger city, hanging out with friends, and I started actually thinking of material. So it's like I was always a fan of it, and then when I had an opportunity going to a bigger city, I actually took it serious and like wrote 5 minutes. And I've mentioned it before. The first set I ever did was at the Laugh Shop, and I was one of the hey, this is his first set ever type thing, and the first 30 seconds I was up there, I was like, yeah, like,
Which also, that's a big fucking room.
Yeah, because I seen Mark Norman there 2 weeks before, and I was like, I'm gonna be in this room 2 weeks later, and I'm shitting my pants.
Yeah, you sometimes psych yourself up when you do those big rooms.
Yeah.
See someone there, and you're like, you kind of put a little bit more importance on it than just going up there going like, oh, this is just going to be fun. I'm just going to go tell dick jokes to people.
Yeah,
like, there's not much to it.
Tell some jokes.
Jesse nailed it. Just have fun. Just tell jokes.
And that's what I did.
Like, too many people get lost in the, I don't know, like the trauma of it, the proving myself. I'm like, remember, like when you made that joke off the cuff about your gym teacher shorts, we all laughed because it was like, it was funny in the moment.
And it was the wrong thing to say.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
It was just so outrageous. Like, you know,
but so
I do that somehow all the time.
Yeah. I have a question now. Same question for Jesse. What was the thing that made you want to start it? Like, what was the point that pushed you into it? And I have a reason why I'm asking both of you these questions. So I'm interested to hear your side here.
So for me,
you look at opposite Dr. Phil because you carry everywhere with his balls or whatever.
No, what I'm saying is, no. So it was like I was always kind of like nobody ever took me seriously. Like I could just like say something serious, they'd be like, "Oh, you're joking. That's so funny." And I was like, "Okay, I got to put this energy somewhere." And then my ex's mom actually found a posting on Kijiji that was like, "Do you want to try comedy?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to try comedy. I could do that." Went up there, did like the tell a story of like the you had to be there kind of thing, and just totally bombed. And it like I was not funny whatsoever. But just like the idea of like, okay, I know I can get up there and do this. And I know there's probably something in there that it's like, I've been at it 5 years now. And it just took like the last year of doing it consistently, of like getting out to shows like 2 to 3 times a week, of actually sitting down and writing material to figure out if I'm funny somewhere.
Sorry to interrupt. But just that's what I'm trying to say. That's how I can tell more people put in more years. Like you didn't falter. Like there was so much craziness in the crowd there. Like you could have been like, but you know, it's like you didn't. You just like stuck by your bit, and then in fact, I think you went off the cuff a couple of times. Like that's it. Like that's what I noticed. Just who has put in enough time to conquer themselves. Yeah, you know, that's really it. So you're like already. Yeah, like I didn't feel nervous from you, so it's like
it also
like,
comes down,
like, and I just think it's good, more dialed in.
It just comes down to like, are you prepared? Because like if you're prepared, if you have material that you know works that you can rely on, it's easy when someone kind of not easy, but it's easier when someone kind of heckles you or throws you off, that it'll like take you down a path like tonight where I was like,
be an asshole, just fucking Matt Santos. Where was that? Apparently at 10 years ago.
Like, and there was like quite a few times where I would bomb like very early on, and people would be like,
please don't.
People would be like, they'd be like, man, that crowd tonight, and I'm like, but it's our job to get the crowd into it. That just means you're not good enough to get the crowd into it, which is not a bad thing. It just takes practice. So it's always like, if the crowd's not into it, a lot of times I go like, what did I do that made them not be into it? Like you have to be very, very self-aware in order to be good at this.
So the reason that I asked both of you, like, what was the thing that made you want to get into it is because I find there's three things that make a comic. There's your writing, there's your performance, and are you likable? And that's like a charisma thing. And that one can take time and you can fake it, or you just fucking have it. And so like right away off the top, everybody that does comedy has one of those three things. And it's funny because like you're 5 years into it, you said, and you're almost a year into it. And you can tell where you guys are, like where the thing was that brought you to comedy. Like you can see that thing deep down in like your delivery, in like your performance, in your writing. You can see exactly where that was. And so it's interesting to me because like I remember when I was fucking, I tried stand-up for the first time when I was 19. And the whole reason that I did it was because I wanted to get more comfortable speaking in front of people. And when I first went up and did stand-up, I fucking whispered my whole set. I did 2 minutes, and then I just walked off the stage, and Chris Gordon had to fucking run up and like be a host. And like, so it's funny because there's things that you can learn, there's things that you just have, and there's things that you will get better at, you know? But it's interesting because I'm really keen to see where you guys are a year from now, 2 years from now. Like, obviously you're in different places. You've been doing it for a long time, like 5 years, but like, I'm interested to see like where you're going to be at a year from now, because like you've already got the confidence, like in it, like you got up on stage and you're confident. And your writing is good, and it's just a matter of like finding the way to say it sometimes tweaking, that I've noticed, and like that's not a bad thing because that's something that's super learnable, right?
It is,
and it's something that like you really figure out the more that you do it. Like we were talking about 100%. Repetition. It's like I've had jokes where I'm like, oh, I don't. Like I've bombed them fucking 20 times, and then I hit that one where I hit it, and I go,
and it's like,
oh fuck, that just opened it up. I know what I'm doing now with this.
Where to take it.
I'm gonna wind this down. Like obviously, love having you guys on, and everything you said, Spencer, there made complete sense. At the end of the day, your guys' humor joke premises is dialed in. Like, I don't put people in the pod that I didn't think was funny. So you guys are obviously funny. Obviously, just keep continuing our journey here. But like, I gotta ask a question. Does anyone smell bacon in here? Or is it just fucking me?
I did smell.
Okay, fuck.
Earlier.
So it's our HVAC system. For a second, I thought like literally, I'm like, okay,
stroking out.
I thought we had that fixed, but I gotta go fucking.
Although, do you want to not fix that? I mean, it smells like fucking bacon. People like, I've gone into a room thinking there's bacon.
That was just me farting.
Oh, by the way, fucking like. So you're I don't want to give it away, but the tattoo you have, like, like what I thought it said was eat only.
Oh,
that's what I thought it
funny.
So either you put on some back fat, now it says eat
that's why
only,
they tell you not to get tattoos.
I was like,
and
someone was like, no, I said the other thing. I was
dude,
like,
I've gotten so much fatter since I got my last tattoo. It's not even, it's bad, but it's I'm okay with
bacon.
I'll eat it. But I'll fucking give it away because it's on my last album. Like my tattoo says exit only. Yeah, it's a
The way you
tramp stamp.
said lower back, I thought it said eat only. I was laughing. I literally looked over. I was like, "Yeah, it says eat only." No, it says excellent. Eat only is pretty funny too.
Oh, that's so
just kinda
fucking
like,
good.
oh, I literally thought it said eat only. Then I had to be like look at your fucking lower back, like more close.
That's how he does it. He's like, I want people to get their nose in my ass crack,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna squish this bad boy together.
I want someone to go to Chow Town down there. Okay.
Shit. Anyway, on that note, bye everybody.
Chow Town.